Part 28. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 271. In the pharmacy, He Guangming had already thought about it. No matter what disease Yang Lin said the child had, he would take care of the child for free. After all, this is a rare opportunity to please Yang Lin. He really couldn't stand it, and there were a group of his old friends beside him. With a few of them here, he didn't believe there was any disease that they couldn't treat. Until Yang Lin said the word leukemia, the expressions of the four old men present suddenly changed. After a long while, He Guangming asked again. Daozang Yang, are you sure he has leukemia? Are you planning to treat him? As soon as He Guangming finished asking the question, Yang Lin nodded. Of course, otherwise what would I do if I came here to grab medicine? After receiving such an answer, He Guangming first looked at the little boy beside him, and then asked for the opinion of his old friend behind him. Finally he walked towards the boy. After checking the boy's pulse, his expression suddenly changed slightly. Judging from the pulse, this child does have leukemia. My old friends, would you like to come and take a look? As soon as these words came out, the three old men who had been standing nearby for a long time came over immediately. After all three people took their pulses, their expressions became serious. Indeed, and he is already very ill. In this case, it is recommended to send him to the hospital for treatment as soon as possible. Medicines can only alleviate his symptoms, but they cannot remove the root cause, let alone cure him. It is better to use targeted therapy, which is safer. The three of them analyzed the little boy's condition clearly and gave relevant treatment suggestions. The meaning is also very obvious. It is absolutely impossible to completely cure it simply by taking medicine. When netizens heard the opinions of these three national treasure doctors, they started talking again. Look, I'm just saying that ordinary drugs have no way of curing cancers like leukemia. Now that even these three authoritative experts have said this, it seems that the only option is to go to the hospital for treatment. It cannot be denied that traditional medical skills do have merit in some aspects, but for emergencies like that, forget it. It can't be said that traditional medical skills are not good. Diseases like leukemia are not a minor disease regardless of the medical skills of any country. I don't know what Yang Lin will do next, whether to continue taking the medicine or send the boy to a nearby hospital. It's safest to send her to the hospital. Maybe there will be a chance of recovery in the future. For a while, it was obvious that everyone was not optimistic that Yang Lin could cure the boy's leukemia with medicine. But at this time, Yang Lin ignored the opinions of He Guangming and others, and directly took out the prescription written in advance and placed it in front of He Guangming. Please help me prepare this medicine. Also, I don't know if your store has bathtubs and meteorites. Hearing Yang Lin's words suddenly, He Guangming, who was still thinking about whether to use his own connections to treat the boy, was immediately startled. Subconsciously, he glanced at the prescription written by Yang Lin. His eyes widened at just one glance. Judging from his experience and medical practice, it can be said that the method of using this prescription is unheard of and unseen. But he could vaguely feel that this prescription was not simple. Perhaps seeing the expression on He Guangming's face, the three old men on the side also hurriedly gathered around. Looking at the expressions on the faces of the three of them, they became no different from He Guangming. Obviously they all saw something, but they were not sure. After almost 10 seconds, He Guangming couldn't help but ask. Taoist Master Yang, may I ask what this prescription is? Upon hearing his question, Yang Lin answered without even thinking. Of course it's to treat the child's disease, but it's just caused by the imbalance of qi and blood in the internal organs and the invasion of external evils. You only need to use this Zhu-Yang exorcism decoction to condition your body, then use acupuncture and medicinal bath to bathe your body, and you will be cured in less than a day. As soon as these words came out, Both He Guangming and the other three old men were dumbfounded. They did not expect that this prescription was actually used to treat the boy's leukemia. He never thought that leukemia would be so simple in Yang Lin's mouth. It is a medical myth that one can be cured in one day. Of course, the premise of all this is that the methods Yang Lin said are true. After looking at each other, these four respected Zenglan saints immediately became apprentices. While helping Yang Lin grab the medicine, he prepared the things needed for treatment. Soon everything was ready under the busy work of the four old men. Yang Lin also personally helped the little boy prepare the medicine. Under his personal supervision, a pot of orange-yellow soup was brewed. There seems to be no difference from ordinary medicines in terms of color or taste. But no one dares to underestimate it. After the decoction was finished, Yang Lin placed the little boy in a bathtub, poured water into the bathtub, and added the medicinal powder he ground. At the same time, he didn't forget to pour the orange-yellow soup into the child's mouth. After doing all this, Yang Lin did not stop there. Instead, he took the golden needles and inserted them into several acupuncture points on the boy's body with a unique technique. Then he used the meteorite in his hand to roam over the meridians all over the boy's body. The whole process is complicated and mysterious. Most of the viewers in the live broadcast room felt like they were in a fog. Not to mention them, even He Guangming and the other four Zenglan saints only showed expressions of understanding after seeing Yang Lin's actions. But they vaguely felt that Yang Lin's actions might really have a therapeutic effect. More than an hour passed like this. An hour later, Yang Lin put away all the golden needles on the boy and looked at him quietly. The next second, the boy who had fallen into a deep sleep suddenly opened his eyes. After scanning the surrounding area, those clear eyes were covered with a layer of mist. "Mom! I want Mom!" After a crisp cry, everyone onlookers didn't react for a while. It wasn't until he called out the word Mom again that the people watching from the show showed horrified eyes. No, he can't speak, he was born deaf and mute. Yeah, he obviously couldn't speak before. What the hell is going on? Hearing the exclamations of several members of the program team, He Guangming also hurriedly asked about the situation. After learning that the boy could not speak before, he immediately looked at Yang Lin aside. At this moment, he suddenly understood that Yang Lin's complicated treatment method just now was not just for the boy's leukemia. But when everyone looked at him like this, Yang Lin seemed as if nothing had happened. Pandeo just saw how pitiful he was and cured his mute disease easily. As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately didn't know what to say. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 272. No one thought that in the process of treating the boy's leukemia, Yang Lin also cured his mute disease. Generally, the main causes of congenital deafness are caused by inbreeding, congenital developmental malformations, or maternal medication during pregnancy. It is considered a difficult and complicated disease in any large hospital. It is not to say that it is completely incurable, but it also requires a long period of time. But in Yang Lin's eyes, such a difficult and complicated disease was just like an ordinary bruise, and it was completely cured with just 2 injections. After the shock, He Guangming and 4 other old doctors hurriedly came to the boy's side and took the boy's pulse without any explanation. The expressions on their faces were calm at first, but soon this calmness disappeared. Instead, there was a face full of disbelief. How is it possible? How could his pulse become so stable all of a sudden? Lao He, please let me go and let me take a look. I'll take a look too. While talking, several people took turns checking the little boy's body. The more they looked, the more frightened they became. Several old men, all of whom were nearly 400 years old in total, seemed to be practicing medicine for the first time. And when their expressions fell into the eyes of the audience in the live broadcast room, the audience immediately began to speculate. What is going on? They are talking. It's just that it makes me anxious to see whether the child's illness is cured or not. Looking at their shocked looks, they should be getting better. No, it will get better as soon as you get older. The deaf and mute people were cured, by the way. Can traditional medical skills really achieve this level? Are you sure Yang Lin didn't use some magic to cure him? Anyway, I can feel that the child's condition seems to have improved a bit. Before the netizens in the live broadcast room could come to a conclusion, He Guangming and other 4 old doctors looked at each other again. The 4 of them looked at me and I looked at you, but none of them dared to express their own conclusions. After a long while, He Guangming took a deep breath and said, "I know what you're trying to say, but this is incredible. So I think the best way now is to send him to the nearby city hospital for a series of examinations." That's what I think too. Simply relying on us to check the pulse is not 100% guaranteed. In this case, let's send this child to the city hospital. It just so happens that the director of the city hospital is Lao He's student. After some discussion, the 4 people immediately decided to send the boy to a nearby city hospital for in-depth examination. Naturally, Yang Lin had no objection to the 4 people's proposal. Not long after, he arrived at Jinghai People's Hospital accompanied by 4 old men. Before entering the hospital building, a group of doctors in white coats, led by a middle-aged man, came over. After seeing He Guangming and the old men beside him, his face suddenly showed excitement. "Teacher, why didn't you say hello earlier when you came? Also, Mr. Su, Mr. Lu, Mr. Zhang, you old gods came to my small temple together." Those who didn't know thought that something big happened to us. As he spoke, the middle-aged man walked to He Guangming's side with an attentive look. And the group of medical workers following him were even more humble. "No problem, I will arrange for someone to do a comprehensive examination on him later." The middle-aged man finally reacted at this moment, and the next second he was seen saying to a middle-aged doctor in a white coat behind him, "Qian Cheng, we are not here for anything else. We just want to take this child here to check his health." He first adjusted the reading glasses on the bridge of his nose, and then looked at Yang Lin with excitement. "Director's son, please take this child for a comprehensive examination now." The paper, which weighed less than a few grams, was so unusual in their eyes at the moment. Still, this child's condition has worsened. If so, don't worry, our hospital has cured many cases of congenital leukemia. When the test results were placed in front of everyone, they first looked at each other, and then opened the test results with a solemn look. After saying these words lightly, He Guangming stopped talking. Half an hour later, the results of the inspection were sent to He Guangming and others in the dean's office. "Yes, we just want to see what kind of changes the child's body has undergone after being treated by the Taoist priest. Daozang Yang, this is a miracle, a medical miracle that has not been seen in a century. You guys should make some arrangements for him. I just don't know whose descendant this child is, so I need to trouble you to be there in person." As they watched, the expressions of several people could no longer remain calm. As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged doctor nodded, and then he took the program staff and the boy in his arms into the hospital. Even their breathing became heavier. "Teacher, are you saying that this child has congenital leukemia?" As soon as these words came out, both the people in the dean's office and the audience in the live broadcast room were instantly in an uproar. "Teacher, is there anything wrong with this child's test results? A comprehensive inspection only takes half an hour." Although they did not know these 4 old men, this did not prevent them from admiring these 4 England seniors. The only thing that puzzled them was what on earth had to bother these 4 England seniors to go out at the same time. However, before Zhou Qiancheng, the director of the city hospital, had finished speaking, He Guangming stood up suddenly. "We can mobilize the best medical resources to treat him for free." Just when they were confused, He Guangming suddenly pointed to the little boy being held by the staff and said. Hearing He Guangming's words, the middle-aged man nodded without even thinking. With this special relationship, the entire inspection process was extremely fast. As soon as these words came out, the middle-aged man first noticed Yang Lin standing beside him, and then a trace of surprise appeared on his face. However, what He Guangming said next made him stunned for a moment. Such abnormal behavior of several people immediately attracted the attention of other doctors in the office and several members of the program team. The level of white blood cells in this child's body has returned to normal values, which means that his leukemia has been basically cured. Obviously, in his opinion, if He Guangming could be brought here for examination in person, the identity of the child must not be simple. Then let the Taoist priest treat you. That's not true. This child was picked up by Taoist Yang and others on the roadside. He has congenital leukemia. Taoist priest just treated him. Now I want you to check and see his current physical condition. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 273. If the previous performance of He Guangming and others could not prove that the boy's leukemia had been completely cured, then the current examination results from the city hospital have completely confirmed this. After all, Jinghai People's Hospital is a top-notch tertiary hospital, and the probability of errors in test results is close to zero. Coupled with the evidence from He Guangming and 4 other England national players, there is no doubt about the result. Oh my God, Yang Lin really cured this kid's leukemia. Today we witnessed a medical miracle, a miracle of traditional medical techniques curing terminal illnesses. This is too exaggerated. Even modern medicine cannot guarantee that leukemia can be cured in a short time. He cured leukemia with just 1 dose of medicine. If you talk about this anywhere, you will be criticized. It's not just about being trolled. If someone on the internet claims to have cured a terminal illness with traditional medical techniques, I would suspect that person is being slanderous. It's the equivalent of taking a wrench and rubbing it out of a tank. I'm just glad this is a real thing and not an internet rumor. This is great news for those who are seriously ill. Sure enough, there is some truth in the saying that there are no terminal diseases in traditional medicine. There is no disease that cannot be cured, only people who cannot be cured. Who can tell me, if such a drug that can treat terminal diseases is put into production, how much value will it produce, and will it be enough for me to have food and drink for a lifetime? A lifetime of food and drink? You think too simply. Not to mention your whole life, your 10 lifetimes are enough. Let me tell you this, if you are sentenced to death now, if you can develop a drug to treat cancer, the country can release you immediately. Then this wave of Yang Lin will make a fortune. As long as he is willing to transfer the patent for this drug, the patent fee alone can make him one of the top 10 wealthiest people in the world. Brother above, you look down on drugs to treat cancer too much. Do you know how much money a foreign company made from the patent for a drug that lowers blood lipids developed by a foreign company? It's $100 billion, and it's just for lowering blood lipids. While everyone in the live broadcast room was exploding, Yang Lin was still as calm as before. Obviously he had already expected such a result. After all, the Zhuyang exorcism powder he made was not a traditional medicine, but a combination of the red elixir method he used when practicing Taoism in his previous life. Not to mention some external evil inside the body, even if it is bitten by a zombie, it can be saved. Perhaps seeing Yang Lin's unmoved appearance, He Guangming and others quickly calmed down. They looked at the little boy beside them who had been completely cured, then looked at the test results in their hands, and finally locked their eyes on Yang Lin. At this moment, He Guangming seemed to have made up his mind and said in a very sincere tone, "Daozang Yang, you are truly a god in this world, and the 9 Yang exorcism powder you prepared is even more of a miracle medicine. Old man, I dare to make a request of you. Yang Lin was not surprised at all when he heard He Guangming's words. He just said lightly, "Please tell me." "That's right, I hope to apply for the patent of Juyang exorcism powder to the National Patent Office on your behalf in the name of our Hejia Songhe Pharmaceutical. At the same time, I also hope that you can authorize Songhe Pharmaceutical to manufacture and sell Juyang exorcism powder. For this reason, we are willing to pay you 1 billion in patent royalties every year. The reason why I do this is not to make profits, but because this drug is of great importance. If this drug can be officially put into production, it will be great news for those patients who are suffering from the disease." What He Guangming said was obviously what everyone present wanted to say. The emergence of a drug that can cure terminal diseases will change the fate of many people. After He Guangming, several other old men also petitioned, including Zhou Qiancheng, the director of the city hospital. They can even imagine how many people will call Yang Lin and ask him to buy licenses in the future. Even foreign pharmaceutical companies, large and small, are no exception. Just because the interests involved are too huge. After hearing what they said, Yang Lin also showed a thoughtful expression on his face. He naturally knew that this prescription was more than just a prescription. We are also very aware of the commercial value contained therein. But he never thought about making money from this prescription. On the one hand, it is because he is no longer short of money. He may not be in this world in a year, so why would he need money in this world? On the other hand, it is also because he does not want to obtain money in this way. The next second he said calmly in front of He Guangming and others, "In that case, I'll bother Mr. He to help Pandeo apply for a patent." But Pandeo doesn't want any of the patent royalties. If possible, Pandeo hopes that these patent fees can be used to treat poor children like him to treat diseases. By the way, if Pandeo remembers correctly, this seems to be called the foundation, right? As soon as Yang Lin said these words, everyone present and the audience in the live broadcast room were in awe. Once the Juyang exorcism powder is successfully patented, the annual patent fees are conservatively estimated to be over 100 billion. A 20-year patent protection period is enough to generate several trillions in patent fees. Having such a huge sum of money can directly turn an ordinary person into the richest man in the world. However, facing the temptation of such a huge sum of money, Yang Lin remained unmoved and decided to donate the huge sum of money to those who could not afford treatment because of poverty. With such a broad mind and such a pattern, how could everyone not be moved? In an instant, the audience in the live broadcast room became restless. "I'm convinced this time, I'm completely convinced. Let's all type the word pattern on the public screen together. I think Yang Lin's behavior is really impressive. I asked myself that if I were put in his position, I wouldn't be able to be like him. That's not thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, it's hundreds of billions or trillions, money that can't be spent in 10 lifetimes. The most important thing is that he is willing to bring the patent of Juyang exorcist evil powder into the market, instead of choosing to keep this prescription for himself. This alone is already better than countless people. Yes, how many essences of traditional medical skills have been lost because of this? This time I have to more or less give Yang Lin a kiss on behalf of those who are seriously ill. I'll knock one too. For this operation, we are not allowed to build a temple or erect a monument for Yang Lin. If this were in ancient times, it would be a great merit. It's a pity that this is modern society, and things like merit are invisible and intangible. While everyone was in admiration, Yang Lin suddenly felt a mysterious power pouring into his body. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 274. This is. Feeling the special power pouring into his body out of thin air, Yang Lin first raised his eyebrows, and then immediately thought of something. Is this merit? After some comparison, he also recognized this special power. It is not much different from the merit obtained when turning the typhoon around, but the amount is larger. Different from cause and effect, merit is the reward given by heaven after benefiting the people. It is a great tonic for practitioners. Although it cannot be used directly to improve one's own cultivation, it can be used to offset heavenly calamities or refine magic weapons of success to eliminate disasters and solve problems. He had never gained any merit in his previous life, but he did not expect that he would receive merit from heaven one after another on this blue star. Is it because I disclosed this prescription for treating leukemia for free and benefited those who are seriously ill that I gained so much merit? After doubting it, Yang Lin roughly guessed the source of these merits. Then if I continue to develop other drugs used to create terminal diseases, wouldn't I be able to earn unlimited merit? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at the four old men beside him. As Zinglan saints, they have channels and reputations that ordinary people cannot imagine. If they can use the hands of these old men. Unconsciously, he nodded slightly. And his slight expression was also noticed by He Guangming on the side. In an instant, He Guangming felt happy. In his opinion, Yang Lin's expression must have affirmed his behavior just now. However, at this moment, Yang Lin suddenly spoke again. Mr. He, Pandeo suddenly came up with an idea, but this idea requires help from you and a few old men. Hearing Yang Lin's words, He Guangming was startled at first, and then agreed without thinking. As long as you speak, Taoist master, we will definitely go all out. That's right, Taoist priest, if you have any ideas, just tell me. Yes, 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 although we old bones don't have great abilities, we still have some connections. The four old men in front of him agreed wholeheartedly, and Yang Lin did not continue to show off. It's like this. I have a little knowledge of medical skills, but I can't save the world by myself. So Pandeo thought that if he could spread his medical skills and let them flourish to save more people, he would be able to live up to what he had learned. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the dean's office widened their eyes. They even doubted whether they heard correctly. What is a little bit of medical skill? A little bit of medical skill can cure someone's terminal illness in just a few clicks. What made them feel even more incredible was the following sentence. With Yang Lin's many attacks, there is no doubt about his medical skills. Even He Guangming and other Zinglan elders dare not say that they are more accomplished than Yang Lin in this area. In fact, in their own minds at this moment, Yang Lin's level had already surpassed them by several miles. When he thought that traditional medicine would one day be revived in the hands of himself and others, He Guangming's old face suddenly turned red with excitement. Such a big boss suddenly said that he wanted to teach the medical skills he had learned. This is such shocking news. But in fact, only their insiders know that this is far from the case. After a long while, He Guangming looked at Yang Lin tremblingly and said, Today, the traditional medical skills of Long Kingdom are gradually declining. Some people say that traditional Chinese medicine died due to traditional Chinese medicine, while others say that traditional Chinese medicine died due to conservatism. By the time the last generation passed away, no one even knew about the existence of these prescriptions. The decline of traditional Chinese medicine is certainly due to the influence of counterfeit medicines, but more importantly, it is due to the fact that most of the prescriptions and medical books have been lost. Some miracle medicines that were once popular among the people were also completely lost for this reason, and all that remained were those popular prescriptions. The other medical staff in the office were also excited. Of course, it would be great if other Zinglan seniors are willing to share what they have learned. Now, Yang Lin intends to use all his knowledge to create a traditional Chinese medicine clinic and guide the entire traditional medicine community to integrate with each other. What a big heart and what a feat. After a while, He Guangming took the lead in expressing his stance. After all, with Yang Lin's pearls in front, no one can hide them anymore. That's right, when the time comes, old man, I will personally go and gather the descendants of each family for a meeting. This old man has my full support for this matter that is related to the future of traditional medicine in the Dragon Country. If Taoist Master Yang is really willing to do this, I will risk my life to open the Chinese medical clinic. Ordinary people were shocked by Yang Lin's bold idea, but medical inheritors like He Guangming were confused. Even those families with traditional Chinese medicine only have a few bottom-of-the-line prescriptions. This will not only facilitate everyone's communication, but also help the dissemination of traditional medical knowledge. As they talked, the eyes of the four old men, who were almost 400 years old in total, became red-eyed. I believe that in this collision of knowledge, traditional medical skills will soon shine. Hearing He Guangming's question, others also looked at Yang Lin, waiting for his final answer. Under their gaze for the next second, Yang Lin nodded slowly. If I can see Chinese medicine rise again in my lifetime, I can die in peace, old man. While everyone was excited, everything that happened in the live broadcast room was once again moved to the internet by some marketing accounts. While in the hospital, they witnessed too much helplessness and too many separations of life and death. There will be some errors in each generation. The more generations are passed on, the greater the error will be. For example, many of the palace prescriptions were strictly prohibited from being passed on to outsiders, and were not even allowed to be kept in writing. They could only be passed down orally. Listening to Yang Lin's thoughts, the office quickly fell into silence. Pandeo's idea is to have 4 people take the lead in setting up a traditional Chinese medicine clinic. Pandeo will teach in the museum, and anyone who is interested in traditional medical skills can come and take classes. Some of them were bought by foreign forces at high prices and patented, while others were taken underground. The same is true for Mr. Su and 3 other people beside him. Yes. Old man, even if I lose everything, I still have to contribute. If the traditional medical skills of the Dragon Kingdom can rise and produce a few more pictures like the prescription given to a boy to cure a terminal illness, then there will be fewer tragedies in the world. Taoist priest, are you serious? Are you really willing to teach the medical skills you have learned to others? After all, they can't cure a terminal disease like leukemia with just one drug. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 275. It only took more than 3 hours from the time Yang Lin picked up the boy at the door of the police station to when he used medicine to cure the boy's leukemia and mute disease. But what happened within these 3 hours has subverted everyone's understanding again and again. For the marketing account that has been lurking in the live broadcast room, it is undoubtedly another fruitful day. They have already smelled the hot trend. Immediately, they also worked non-stop to compile a series of things that happened in the live broadcast room into materials. In less than 20 minutes, these materials were turned into news items and published on various news websites and short video platforms in Dragon Kingdom. Among them, Douyin short videos are the most popular. Shocking, leukemia will no longer be a terminal disease and can be completely cured with just one drug. Traditional Chinese medicine is the best, and it completely defeats Western medicine. Without chemotherapy, bone marrow transplantation, or targeted therapy, what created a medical miracle? Amazing discovery of heaven-defying medical skills, Yang Lin adds God-level operations. New hope for the rise of traditional Chinese medicine. Yang Lin and 4 Xinglan masters jointly took the lead in founding the traditional Chinese medicine clinic. Yang Lin didn't take any of the medical patents worth trillions. There will be a strong earthquake in the medical world, and traditional Chinese medicine may become the most popular specialty in the next few years. The news headlines that shocked netizens, coupled with the screen recording during the live broadcast, quickly attracted the attention of a large number of netizens. At first, these netizens naturally thought that these were just headlines used by unscrupulous marketing accounts to attract attention. After all, these headlines all sound fake and have almost all the elements of fake news. But when they opened the news out of curiosity, they were surprised to find that the headlines were all true. In an instant, netizens exploded. Holy shit, who made this headline? I already thought it was fake news, but it turned out to be true. Can leukemia be cured so easily? What kind of prescription is this? It's Yang Lin again. He's been in the news recently. Yesterday he was still catching artillery shells with his bare hands, and today he cured someone's leukemia. What kind of dual cultivation of medicine and martial arts is this? It turns out that we misunderstood traditional medical skills. It's not that traditional medical skills are incompetent, but it depends on who is using them. This is really great news. My relative's child was also diagnosed with leukemia at birth. Now the whole family has spent all their money to treat the child. It's hard to imagine how those patients suffering from leukemia must feel when they see this news. He doesn't want patent fees worth trillions, so he doesn't want them. This is the real star. From today on, none of you are qualified to blackmail Yang Lin. You're not talking nonsense. No one dared to criticize him before. This time the rise of traditional Chinese medicine is finally no longer a fantasy. I can foresee that in the future, traditional Chinese medicine in our dragon country will once again become the mainstream of the medical community. Stop talking, I'm going to change my choice now. I hope it's not too late. Yang Lin deserves to enjoy the ancestral temple. After reading the news released by marketing accounts, netizens were surprised and looked forward to the early establishment of the traditional Chinese medicine clinic mentioned by Yang Lin. At the same time, He Guangming and others in the dean's office also made a decision after some discussion. Zhang Yang, some of us old buddies just discussed it, and we decided to spend some of our money to buy a piece of land in Jinghai, and then jointly build a Chinese medical center. It will take no more than 3 months to complete. At that time, we will contact our other senior buddies to organize a group of outstanding young doctors in the industry to attend lectures at the Chinese Medical Center. When you have time, you can go there to take classes. If you don't have time, our brothers will take care of it. In addition, we have also decided to donate some of the medical books and prescriptions we have collected and summarized over the years to the Chinese Medical Center for free for medical workers across the country to refer to at any time. This can be regarded as our contribution to the rise of the traditional medical skills of the Dragon Kingdom. If Pandeo guessed correctly, you should have come to find Pandeo for engineering matters. However, just when Yang Lin thought that the day had passed, a familiar figure suddenly appeared at the door of the police station. No introduction is needed. You can tell by his face that this man is not an ordinary person. He should be the mayor of a nearby city. 10 minutes later, a young couple arrived at the city hospital accompanied by several police officers. Then I'll tell you directly, I can't break it. After all, there is no reason for the city's top leader to come to a police station to inspect its work. This is Taoist Master Yang. When he saw this person, Yang Lin's face instantly showed a look of surprise. Because the person who came turned out to be Tan Zhengming, the top leader in Jinghai City. The moment he saw Tan Zhengming, he knew that this was for him. As soon as these words came out, the middle-aged man standing next to Tan Zhengming immediately showed a look of surprise. Not only did he drive away the typhoon to avoid huge losses for Jinghai, but he also single-handedly brought down the crime rate in the entire Jinghai city. And besides Tan Zhengming, he was also accompanied by several other unfamiliar faces. A smile immediately appeared on his face. But considering that the boy only had 2 relatives, and the couple had already spent all their family wealth in order to treat the child, normal circumstances require criminal detention. They obviously didn't say anything, but Yang Lin already knew. As he spoke, he led the people behind him towards Yang Lin with a kind expression. But what surprised him even more was what came next. Listening to the decision made by He Guangming and others, Yang Lin immediately nodded in agreement. As soon as he finished speaking, Tan Zhengming and others looked at each other in confusion. The best thing about this is that when the traditional Chinese medical center is built, Pandeo will spend 1 day a week giving lectures and try his best to pass on what he has learned to those who are interested in learning traditional medical skills. Just when Tan Zhengming was about to introduce the people around him, Yang Lin suddenly interrupted him. This is also due to Yang Lin's contribution to Jinghai during this period. Taoist Master Yang, I'm sorry to bother you again. When everything was arranged, Yang Lin looked at the little boy again. Afterwards, the couple left the hospital with the now recovered boy after expressing a lot of gratitude. If it weren't for his status, he would have wanted to give Yang Lin a few kisses. At the same time that Yang Lin discovered Tan Zhengming and others, Tan Zhengming also saw Yang Lin, who was drinking tea in the courtyard of the police station. According to the law, abandoning a minor constitutes a crime. After most of the day, the police station was still deserted. After a conversation, several people quickly agreed on some details about the Chinese medical center. At this moment, he didn't have any airs at all, and instead had a somewhat flattering look on his face. Out of reason, the police in Jinghai City only gave the couple a verbal reprimand. The matter was considered to have ended successfully here, and Yang Lin immediately returned to Zhangjiawan police station with several members of the program team. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 276. In the police station compound, after Yang Lin said something, the people brought by Tan Zhengming stared at each other. After a long while, Tan Zhengming said with admiration, Taoist Master, you are really a god. You already know what we want to ask before we even say anything. After saying this, he quickly introduced the fat man in a white shirt next to him. Daozang Yang, this is Comrade Sun Daming, the top leader in our Haizu city. He came to our Jinghai specifically to ask you a question. After hearing Tan Zhengming's words, Yang Lin's expression remained the same, but his eyes slightly glanced at Sun Daming. Perhaps sensing Yang Lin's gaze, Sun Daming immediately smiled. Daozang Yang, I have heard of your name a long time ago, so I won't hide it from you. The thing is like this. Due to the municipal planning of Haizu City, we are planning to relocate an ancient city area. But there happens to be an ancient building built in the Ming Dynasty in the ancient city area. I heard from the old man over there that this ancient building is related to the lifeblood of the entire Haizu City, so we didn't move until. Following Sun Daming's eloquent talk, Yang Lin quickly understood what was going on. There is a building called Jinhai Pavilion in Haizu City. According to legend, it was specially built by a master in the Ming Dynasty to suppress the feng shui in Haizu. Of course, this is just a folk saying. In the eyes of municipal planning, so-called historical relics are completely inferior to urban planning. So after persuading the surrounding citizens, they prepared to move the entire Jinhai Pavilion to a place 1 kilometer away from the original site. Who would have imagined that as soon as the construction workers surrounded the entire Jinhai Pavilion, all kinds of strange things happened one after another. First there was a large-scale power outage in the city, and then there were mysterious injuries and illnesses among workers. Then something even more outrageous came. A violent storm began to fall in Haizu City out of nowhere. After the heavy rain, the temperature in the entire city suddenly rose several degrees. It directly turned the entire Haizu City into a big steamer. Several strange things happened at the same time, making Sun Daming and other Haizu leaders dumbfounded. Thinking of some recent rumors on the internet and the recent events in Jinghai City, they quickly thought of seeking consultation from relevant experts. The first thing that comes to mind is Yang Lin. So that's what happened just now. After listening to Sun Daming's story, Yang Lin immediately started calculating with his fingers. Seeing this scene, Sun Daming and others hurriedly stood aside and waited quietly. After a few seconds, Yang Lin looked at them again. If Pandeo's calculations are correct, the location of Genhai Pavilion is where the Earth's energy of Haizu City gathers. While suppressing the feng shui of a place, we can also pray for disaster relief in Haizu City. Sun Daming nodded immediately after hearing Yang Lin's words. Yes, yes, Taoist priest, you are right. There has always been such a saying. Several typhoons have turned a corner in our Haizu before. Citizens all say that Genhai Pavilion helped our Haizu resolve the typhoon. But it's precisely because of this that I don't quite understand. We haven't touched Genhai Pavilion yet, so why are so many strange things happening? Faced with Sun Daming's doubts, Yang Lin quickly gave an answer. I saw him casually taking out a piece of white paper and a pencil from the side. Then with just a few strokes, the outline of Haizu City was drawn. Looking at the familiar city outline in front of him, the doubts in Sun Daming's eyes suddenly became more intense. Until Yang Lin drew a few points on the map. If you look carefully, these points are connected to form the shape of the Big Dipper. His eyes instantly turned to Yang Lin in front of him. In the future, there will only be more strange things happening in Haizu City. Daozang Yang, you must have a way, right? Among the people I know now, you are the only one with real abilities. The style and shape of the 7-star vat have been drawn on it. You just need to find a suitable craftsman to make it according to the drawing. Genhai Pavilion has been rebuilt countless times since its construction. Who still knows its original location? Not long after, he drew 2 schematic diagrams. Besides, where could he find someone who knew how to arrange a feng shui bureau to accomplish such a big thing? Of course, this alone is not enough. You also need to set up a feng shui bureau in Genhai Pavilion to supplement it. Only in this way can the disordered feng shui be completely adjusted back to a normal state. On the other hand is the solution Yang Lin said. The method to enhance its feng shui is also very simple. Just make 7 7-star jars out of marble and place them at the root of the north wall of Genhai Pavilion. You must help me, help the millions of citizens in Haizu City. To put it bluntly, the current Genhai Pavilion is no longer in its original position. No matter how you touch it, it will no longer be able to suppress the feng shui of your Haizu City like before. But soon he suddenly realized that he seemed to have entered a misunderstanding. Perhaps seeing this, Yang Lin immediately said straight to the point. And Lao Sun will definitely not let your help go to waste, right Lao Sunday? One of them has specific directions and values written on it. Faced with the two's pleas, Yang Lin did not speak immediately. Instead, he continued to draw on the paper beside him. On the one hand, he didn't expect the problem to be so serious. The best way to solve this problem is to move Genhai Pavilion back to its original location. After receiving a wink from Tan Zhengming, Sun Daming nodded quickly and said. Listening to Yang Lin's series of explanations, both Sun Daming and others couldn't help showing a look of understanding on their faces. This matter is actually very simple. Pandeo has already done the math. We only need to move the entire Genhai Pavilion 18 meters southward and raise the foundation 67 centimeters, which is its earliest location. At the same time, there are many earth veins and water veins suppressing it, so it can suppress the feng shui of Haizu City for hundreds of years. This. Yes, Taoist Master Yang, maybe only you can solve this matter. As soon as Sun Daming finished speaking, Tan Zhengming on the side quickly echoed. Yes, yes, as long as you are willing to help, Taoist Master, we are willing to pay the corresponding consulting fees. But because of this, it must have been destroyed by lightning or war. After several reconstructions, it has deviated from its original position, causing the imbalance of the 4 elements and the leakage of energy. Facing Yang Lin's eloquent talk, Sun Daming's face instantly showed a look of ecstasy. After hearing Yang Lin's solution, Sun Daming's face suddenly showed a complicated expression. Otherwise, I'm afraid this summer will really be unbearable. This building is built on a high mountain, located at the highest point of Haizu. It overlooks the river and the sea, like a burning torch, and like the stars in the sky forming the Big Dipper with many landscapes in the city. Those who know have probably turned to ashes by now. It won't take more than 2 days for everything in Haizu City to return to normal. The other one has 7 large vats painted on it. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 277. Sun Daming had already made plans to invite Yang Lin to Haizu, but he never expected that Yang Lin would point out the clear way to solve the problem in just a few words. And until now, he himself has never even been to Haizu. Such miraculous feng shui attainments once again impressed him on the spot. With your words, Taoist master, I feel relieved. If the matter can really be resolved properly, you will be a great benefactor to millions of people in our entire Haizu city. Sun Daming's words were full of gratitude. After that, he also hurriedly left Zhangjiawan police station with the 2 drawings Yang Lin drew casually. Apparently he was anxious to go back and solve the problem. Watching Sun Daming leave, Yang Lin finally looked at Tan Zhengming aside again. Just by looking at his expression, he already realized that Tan Zhengming's visit this time was not just about bringing people here. Mayor Tan, if you have anything to say, please tell me. He, as expected, I can't hide anything from you, Taoist master. After smiling coquettishly, Tan Zhengming also revealed the reason for his visit this time. That's it, Taoist Yang, because you have helped our Jinghai solve so many major cases one after another, and you have also helped our Jinghai escape from typhoons. For these things you have done, we the citizens of Jinghai City really cannot help you. I know how to thank you. After discussions with civil representatives, we decided to build a shrine for you in Jinghai City to express our respect and gratitude to you. As soon as these words came out, not only Yang Lin was stunned, but also the members of the program team who were holding cameras to record the scene were all confused. It was the viewers in the live broadcast room who reacted first. I'm going to tell you if it's true or not. Friends from Jinghai City will come out and prove it. What does Shenxi mean? Can anyone explain it to me? Don't you understand the Shenxi temple? The Shenxi temple is to build temples for people who are still alive and worship them as gods. I'm a native of Jinghai, and I'm here to prove that Yang Lin's status in the hearts of the older generation has reached an unprecedented level. Many old people say that Yang Lin is a god descended to earth. Not to mention an old man, even a young man in his 20s thinks Yang Lin is no different from a god. Let's not talk about anything else. Let's just talk about the fact that he took away the typhoon. That is a great merit. In ancient times, people have built temples and monuments for him. There is a saying that as long as you make contributions to the people on our southeastern coast, some people will regard you as a god. Therefore, our southeastern coast also has the most temples and Taoist temples. I've heard about this too. Many old people in our village have said that they want to build a temple for Yang Lin and enshrine him. In this way, even if he is no longer in Jinghai, he can still keep our Jinghai in good weather. I have gained a lot of experience. No wonder gods are everywhere along the southeastern coast. Anyone who has a good relationship can become a god or immortal. Based on his public disclosure of the formula for treating terminal diseases, if Yang Lin really builds a temple, I will definitely burn incense and kowtow a few times. When are we going to collect donations? I will contribute my meager contribution. It's so funny, other celebrities just debuted, but Yang Lin became enlightened directly. Excuse me, if I go to his temple to burn incense for him in the future, will it be considered as support? In this way, throwing money into his merit box is considered a reward. Just as the audience in the live broadcast room was talking to each other, Yang Lin finally reacted. After a moment of silence, he looked at Tan Zhengming calmly and said, "Well, that's not necessary, Pandeo just does some convenient things. You can't say that. What you say is a big deal to the citizens of Jinghai City. and this matter has now been discussed by us at all levels, and our Qinghai municipal government is willing to take the lead in completing this matter. There's no need to worry about funding, land or anything else. As he spoke, Tan Zhengming took out a document from his wallet. Look, the land use approval has been passed. At the end of Linhai Avenue, there used to be an old courtyard. The owner of the courtyard heard that we were going to build a shrine for you there, so he donated his land for free without saying a word. After hearing this, Yang Lin realized that the document in his hand was really an approval document that had been reviewed. By the way, in addition to the land, we also hired a specialized designer to design the style of the shrine for you. Considering that you are a Taoist priest, we referred to the architectural styles of the famous Taoist temples in the Dragon Kingdom, including Wudane Mountain, Longhu Mountain, Lejun Mountain, etc. See if you are satisfied with it. If not, I will ask them to change it. We estimate that after completion, the Shenxi Temple will cover an area of 50,000 square meters, including the main hall, side halls, Lingguan Hall, etc. Hearing this, Yang Lin was completely speechless. Looking at the design drawings held in Tan Zhenming's hand, a trace of helplessness appeared on his face. Just when he thought it was over, Tan Zhenming took out another design drawing. And what is drawn on this design drawing is a sculpture. To be precise, it is a statue of a god. The statue depicts a young Taoist priest. Dressed in Bagua fairy clothes, he sits solemnly, holds a seal in his hand, carries a sword on his back, and holds his black hair tied to the top of his head with a wooden hairpin. A pair of kind eyes full of compassion. If you take a closer look, you can see that it's a one-to-one replica of Yang Lin's. He even looks more like a god than Yang Lin. Tao Zhongyang, we are going to ask the best carving master from the Dragon Kingdom to shape this carving for you. I don't know if you are satisfied with the overall shape. If you're not satisfied, we can fine-tune it. Tan Zhengming, holding the design drawing in his hand, looked proud. The corresponding Yang Lin could only nod helplessly. By the way, there is also your honorific title, we have also thought of it for you. It's called Fu Shen Yao Shi Ji Yuan Miao Dharma Puta Zhenjun. Many people now call you Yang Ziu. We thought Yang Ziu was too old-fashioned, so we gave you this one. As soon as he heard that his title was given, Yang Lin was speechless again. But he also knew that since Tan Zhengming had done all this, it meant that everything was a foregone conclusion. He had nothing more to say. And he also wanted to see what changes would happen if he himself accepted folk incense offerings. It was at this time that he suddenly noticed the location of the Shenxi Temple. After taking a closer look, I discovered that it was less than a kilometer away from the sea. Mayor Tan, you built Pandao's shrine here, didn't you think it would be used to protect against typhoons? Suddenly hearing Yang Lin's question, Tan Zhengming had an awkward smile on his face. A coincidence, definitely a coincidence. Of course, it would be great if it had this function. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 278. Seeing that the construction of the temple had become a foregone conclusion, Yang Lin didn't say anything more. I just filled in a few strokes on the construction drawings of the Shenxi temple, and then changed the style of the statue. After doing this, Tan Zhengming took the drawings and left with a face full of joy. According to him, the construction of the Shenxi temple will start within the next 2 days at the latest, and it will only take about 2 months to complete. With Tan Zhengming leaving, Calm returned to the police station again. Nothing too special happened the whole next day. It was not until it was getting dark that Deputy Director Lu Ming led a group of police officers back to the police station. As soon as Lu Ming entered the door, he found Yang Lin sitting in the office, and his face immediately showed excitement. "Teacher Yang, you are still here. This time you made our Zhangjiawan police station appear nationwide. By the way, you haven't eaten here. To express our gratitude to you, let's treat you to a meal. As soon as Lu Ming said this, all the policemen in the police station immediately followed suit and said, "Yes, Teacher Yang, today our institute was rated as the best in the country. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be as prosperous as we are today. Taoist Master, whatever you like to eat, we will arrange a place for you. How about going to eat seafood? Barbecue, there are many of us." Faced with everyone's enthusiasm, Yang Lin neither refused immediately nor raised any objections. Since becoming a yin god, his need for food has basically been close to nothing. Even if he doesn't eat for a month, he won't starve to death. Occasionally eating something is just to satisfy the appetite. On the other hand, the faces of the program team members on the side showed expressions of eagerness to try. At this moment, they were so hungry that their chests were touching their backs. When their appearance fell into Yang Lin's eyes, Yang Lin also smiled slightly. The next second he spoke. "Since you have shown your sincerity, then the poor Taoist will be disrespectful. As for the place, you can just decide whatever you want." As soon as these words came out, excitement appeared on the faces of Lu Ming and others. "That's great. It just so happens that we haven't had dinner together in a long time. While we're not too busy during this period, let's have a nice meal together." After saying that, everyone immediately took action. After completing the simple work arrangements, a group of more than 20 people from the police station, together with 6 people from the program team, took Yang Lin towards the food street in Jinghai. As the street with the largest number of people in Jinghai after Lovers Street, this so-called food street has the most night market stalls and the most food categories in Jinghai. Here you can eat delicacies from different regions and ethnic groups in the Dragon Kingdom, and the daily flow of people is hundreds of thousands. In addition, Yang Lin and others arrived just in time for dinner, so the whole street became more and more lively. You can see groups of gourmets from all over the world everywhere, including some food and shop bloggers who are holding filming equipment here to take pictures. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Lu Ming and others also found the most inconspicuous barbecue food stall. As soon as everyone sat down, the enthusiastic boss came up with menus. Lu Ming and others also quickly ordered a lot of Jinghai City's special barbecue. Just when he was about to ask Yang Lin what to eat, Yang Lin kept looking at a group of people not far away from them. Seeing this scene, Lu Ming, who was just about to hand over the menu, couldn't help but wonder. "What's wrong, Taoist priest, what's wrong with these people? Are they criminals?" Upon hearing this, Yang Lin shook his head first, then pointed at 2 young men who looked to be in their early 20s and said, "It's not like they are criminals, but the 2 of them will probably fight later. The one in black looks like he will die young, and he might even die soon." As soon as these words came out, Lu Ming's eyes immediately changed. He didn't have to believe what others said, but he couldn't ignore Yang Lin's words. He immediately glanced at the 2 policemen on the side. When the 2 policemen saw this, they immediately stood up and walked over. At the same time, the 2 young men Yang Lin pointed to were also pushing cups and changing cups. The young man wearing black short sleeves didn't know what he said. The young man in white sitting next to him immediately turned around. Face. The beer in his hand splashed directly into the face of the young man in black. The young man in white who had just fought with the young man in black was also frightened and broke into a cold sweat. He was afraid that he would be stabbed to death on the spot. The diners who witnessed the scene immediately exclaimed. After taunting him, he was ready to turn around and return to the wine table. After the 2 brawlers were taken away by the local police station, the barbecue they ordered was also served one by one. The moment he saw the ID, the young man in black woke up from his drunkenness. Seeing that he had won, the young man in white also showed a mocking expression on his face. At this moment, the owner of the barbecue stall sighed and said, "Don't move, we are the police." Faced with such a situation, Everyone who was playing with the skewers suddenly showed a look of confusion. As soon as Lu Ming said this, the others nodded repeatedly. At the same time, Lu Ming, who was sitting at the table nearby, also breathed a long sigh of relief. After that, 7 or 8 ambulances arrived one after another. But in the next second, 2 figures jumped out from the side, and without saying a word, they kicked the young man in black and knocked him to the ground. Even before the young man in black could struggle, 2 documents were handed to him. Only Yang Lin showed a thoughtful expression. Before anyone could react, medical workers carried out the unconscious people on stretchers one by one. Then the 2 men also pushed the young man in black to the ground one after another. I have long said that I can't take that position. Those outsiders just don't believe in evil. It was this glass of wine that officially ignited the anger between the 2. But at this moment, the young man in black who fell to the ground suddenly rushed into the barbecue shop and picked up the bone-cutting knife that the owner had placed aside. Just as I was eating, a piercing alarm sounded. If it hadn't been discovered by Teacher Yang, I'm afraid someone would have died a long time ago and indirectly harmed 2 families. At a rough count, there were no less than a dozen people. Okay, now, just wait until the door closes. These young people are all very brave and fierce, and they can kill people for even the smallest of things. From the initial push, it escalated to fists and kicks. Under everyone's shocked eyes, an ambulance drove into the food court. He didn't dare to think about what would have happened to him at this moment if the 2 police officers hadn't rushed out and subdued the young man in black. The appearance of such a small episode did not affect everyone's dinner party too much. Okay, Lusuo. Call the police station here and ask them to take the person away. Let's continue eating. Due to the size difference between the young man in black, the young man in white was pushed to the ground on the spot. Seeing the table full of delicious food, the police officers who had worked hard for several days immediately started to feast. And this ambulance is just the beginning. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 279. They were still doubtful about this matter, but when they suddenly heard the barbecue stall owner's words, everyone became more and more puzzled. Boss, do you know what happened across the way? In the end, Lu Ming couldn't help but ask. Upon hearing Lu Ming's question, the middle-aged owner of the barbecue stall immediately answered with a smile. Uncle Policeman, you don't even know this place. All those people just got food poisoning. Hearing the barbecue stall owner's answer, Lu Ming couldn't help but smile immediately. Boss, you have very sharp eyes. How did you know that we are the police? Damn it, can you tell this? Apart from soldiers and policemen, I have never seen anyone your age go out to eat barbecue without ordering beer. As soon as these words came out, everyone couldn't help but be speechless. Then what do you mean by what you said earlier? Does the store opposite often have troubles? More than that. While talking, the boss took out a bottle of beer from the refrigerator, then pulled up a stool and sat down next to the table where Lu Ming and others were. I'm telling you, don't call me superstitious. In the store right across the street, something has happened every few days since it opened. On the first day we opened, the proprietress was hit by a car. Last week, 2 customers had their heads opened by falling bricks in front of their store. Fortunately, the floor was not high, otherwise they would have died. I just inquired about this today. It was said that the chef accidentally bought poisonous mushrooms and knocked down all the dozens of guests on several tables. I guess his store won't be able to open anymore. After saying this, the boss took another sip of beer, then lowered his voice and said, I'm telling you this quietly, but don't call me superstitious. Our area was a place of execution during the first 2 dynasties, and all the death row prisoners were beheaded here. The area opposite is said to be the location of the execution platform. When construction started in the early years, there was a hole in the ground. It is said that it was made by the criminal's head falling on the ground. So the feng shui of that store is the worst among us. Whoever takes over will be unlucky. It will also affect me. After saying that, he sighed helplessly. After listening to his story, everyone couldn't help but look at each other in shock. Subconsciously, they looked around. Just as the owner of the barbecue stall said, the entire food street is very busy, but the area where they are located is deserted. But as police officers, they subconsciously don't want to believe this. So they soon looked at Yang Lin aside. After all, this kind of thing is purely professional for Yang Lin. When everyone saw this, Yang Lin also took a careful look at the shop opposite. He nodded quickly. The boss is right. The location opposite is indeed not a good place. The yin energy is too strong, and it coincides with the gathering of evil spirits, causing chi chaos. That is to say, this place has been developed into shops. If it is a residence, it will be a proper haunted house, where crimes will happen every 3 days. With the certification of Yang Lin, an authoritative expert, everyone believed it even if they didn't want to believe it. The way he looked at the shop opposite also changed. Especially after thinking about the scenes where countless people had their heads chopped off and blood flowed all over the ground. Just as everyone was shuddering, Yang Lin suddenly looked above the shop opposite. The next second he sighed helplessly, and then stood up in front of everyone's puzzled eyes. He lifted his feet and prepared to walk outside. Seeing Yang Lin's actions, Lu Ming also hurriedly followed behind. "What's wrong, Teacher Yang, did you find something else?" Others saw this and followed him out. Yang Lin didn't stop until they reached the downstairs of the shop opposite. I saw his eyes scanning around first, and finally locked his eyes on an awning not far away. "You guys go and move that awning over." Ah! Although he didn't quite understand why Yang Lin suddenly asked them to move the rain shelter, out of trust in Yang Lin, Lu Ming arranged for 4 policemen to move a huge rain shelter from a stall nearby. "Put it in this position." Under Yang Lin's command, the rain shelter was quickly put in place. And their strange behavior quickly attracted the attention of the people walking on the street. Apparently they couldn't understand why Yang Lin and others wanted to put an awning in the middle of the road. But at this moment, some tourists nearby suddenly let out bursts of exclamations. Before Lu Ming and the others could figure out why these tourists suddenly screamed, they heard a loud noise coming from the awning above their heads. At the same time, there were also wailing sounds. When they reacted and checked, they discovered that a middle-aged man had appeared on the top of the awning. After spotting the man, they quickly looked up. "Let me go," this brother jumped from the roof of the 3rd floor above the shop. It goes without saying, otherwise how could he have parachuted out of a plane? Even though it's the 3rd floor, if there hadn't been a rain shelter to catch him, he would have died by now. Don't tell me, if he jumps a little to the side, we won't be able to catch him. Wait a minute, Teacher Yang must have calculated this in advance. After everyone discussed it, they immediately looked at Yang Lin aside. Yang Lin did not deny this at all. At this time, everyone, no matter how stupid they were, understood why Yang Lin suddenly asked them to move the rain shelter to the middle of the road. It was obvious that he had expected in advance that someone would jump upstairs, and then he made this move. Suddenly, they admired Yang Lin even more. But at the same time, they also had a question in their minds, and that was why a perfectly fine person would jump down from the building. This question persisted until they rescued the man above the awning. As soon as the man landed, someone among the spectators recognized his identity. "Isn't this the boss of Dingxiang Pavilion?" "Yes, that's Boss Joe." "Why did he jump off the building for no reason?" "It was their family that had the accident just now. I guess they thought the matter was too big and couldn't withstand the pressure, so they jumped off the building." Speaking of it, he is miserable. My wife was hit and seriously injured not long ago, and now something like this happens in the store. No one else can stand it. There's nothing I can do about it. Who made him disobey the advice and buy the store? Among everyone's comments, the identity of the middle-aged man who jumped off the building does not need to be elaborated. Recalling what Yang Lin said just now, Lu Ming and others shuddered unconsciously. Especially when looking at the hotel in front of me. It's so evil that feng shui can cause a person to have his whole family destroyed. At this moment, Yang Lin suddenly walked up to the middle-aged man with a face full of despair. This layman does not need to worry. Misfortune lies where blessings depend, and blessing lies where misfortune lies. When luck reaches its extreme decline, it is also the beginning of great success. If you trust Pandeo, Pandeo can help you get lucky. As soon as these words came out, the middle-aged man who had just jumped from the building but survived the catastrophe realized that there was a young Taoist priest in front of him. At the same time, many tourists recognized Yang Lin's identity. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 280. The food street is a bustling place, and tourists and diners come from all over the Dragon Kingdom. But this did not prevent them from recognizing Yang Lin's identity. Even those who don't pay much attention to Yang Lin on weekdays. There is no way, there have been too many news and reports about Yang Lin on the internet recently. Hey, shit, isn't that Yang Lin? I asked why this person looks so familiar. Don't tell me, it's really Yang Lin. It's a good day to see someone alive today. Why is he here? You're not talking nonsense. What else can you do here instead of eating? No wonder those people built a shed to block the situation below in advance. Now it seems that it was all because Yang Lin calculated in advance that this person would jump from the building. This is like meeting a noble person. While everyone was talking to each other, the middle-aged boss of Dingxiang Pavilion also calmed down at this moment. After taking a look at the crowd around him, he immediately let out a long sigh. Hey, what a blessing and a misfortune. My misfortune has come to an end. With all the trouble today, I have no chance of turning around. If I had known this, I wouldn't even sell this store if I were beaten to death. As he spoke, he beat his thigh in annoyance. The people watching nearby also shook their heads when they saw this. Boss Joe is in a miserable state. His wife is still lying in the hospital. If something like this happened to the store, let alone paying for it, the store probably won't be able to stay open. No, this is a food safety issue. As long as those customers complain, it can't be solved by just losing money. Even if he wanted to sell the store, no one would dare to take it. Who would pick up such a dangerous place? If you pick it up, wouldn't it mean losing money? It's difficult. If it were me, I would also want to jump off the building. Everyone's words were full of sympathy. And the middle-aged man who heard what everyone said became more and more depressed. Seeing this, Yang Lin just smiled lightly, and the next second he looked at Dingxiang Pavilion in front of him. Although this place is extremely evil, the evil is also a source of wealth. As long as we change the architectural pattern here, we can turn this place into a place of wealth. Not to mention making a lot of money every day, but it is definitely the most profitable place on this street. As soon as these words came out, the middle-aged man with a depressed face immediately looked over. Is what you said, Taoist master, true? Of course it's true. When the time comes, all you need to do is remove the wooden pillars inside, replace them with stone pillars, and use heavy objects to suppress the evil spirits. At the same time, the entire second floor windows will be replaced with glass to allow sunlight to shine in. While talking, Yang Lin gave a simple modification plan. Although the overall decoration style is very different from the previous decoration, only a few small changes have been made, and the overall feeling of the store is much more comfortable. And while Yang Lin was explaining to the middle-aged man how to change the feng shui of this store, a rich-looking man with gold-rimmed glasses squeezed in through the crowd. He didn't even bother to wipe the sweat off his forehead and walked straight to Boss Joe. "Boss Joe, I, Qian Jindu, am from Jiangsu and Zhejiang. I have been looking for a shop here recently. I looked at all the shops on the street, and I think your place is the most suitable and the most promising. I'm going to give you this, and you can see how much is appropriate. Otherwise, I will give you double the amount of money you paid back then." As soon as these words came out, Boss Joe, who was still thinking about where to get money to renovate the store, his eyes widened immediately. His eyes were full of disbelief. He has no choice but to follow Yang Lin's method and renovate the store to get the funds back in the shortest time. Or he would try his best to sell this business even if he suffered a loss. But neither of them is particularly difficult. After all, this is a notoriously dangerous place, and no normal person would choose to take over. But now someone has come forward and offered to take over the shop at double the price. He will be able to turn around within a few years. But Yang Lin just smiled and said nothing. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at Yang Lin aside. The general idea is that Boss Joe can open it as he pleases, but the shop can be transferred to them as soon as possible. So you can't make any money. Didn't you just hear that Yang Lin already pointed out the renovation plan to the boss? You agree now, we will sign the contract now, and I will transfer the money directly after signing the contract. Now that they have been exposed, they simply stop pretending. Just because of his words, this store becomes valuable. The key is that they still offer such a high price. What are they trying to do? Faced with the huge financial temptation from the two of them, Boss Joe also showed a trace of hesitation on his face. "I want this shop. I'll pay 3 times how much you paid for it." I understand, that's how it is. But now he is really short of money. After a long while, Boss Joe finally bit his teeth. "Whoever pays the higher price, I will transfer this shop to him." These two people are crazy. As soon as something like this happened in the store, they came to take over the business. They have so much money to burn. Yes, if you take over at this time, wouldn't it mean that you are waiting to die in your hands? Obviously they did see the future development value of this place, so they were willing to spend a lot of money to take over it. And how he was able to sell a shop that was originally unavailable for several times its value with just a few words. "Boss Joe, look at your current situation. What you need most is cash. Instead of continuing on by yourself, you might as well turn me around." They couldn't figure out how Yang Lin solved Boss Joe's current predicament with just a few words. This is a prosperous area to begin with, and with such a money-attracting buff, it's hard to make money and take off. As everyone understood, the faces of the two people who offered to take over Boss Joe's shop also showed a look of disdain. Yes, based on his words, this is the power of a professional. This result immediately confused everyone present, including Lu Ming and others. After the transformation is completed, the dangerous place has directly turned into a gold-sucking place. This time, not only Boss Joe was shocked, but also the onlookers looked over one by one. So, it's not the shop that's valuable anymore, but the opinion Yang Lin gave. The person behind him quickly said the same thing when he saw this. Suddenly a look of confusion appeared on his face. The rich man with gold-rimmed glasses said cheerfully. As soon as these words came out, the two people immediately started to make quotations. In the end, the shop, which covers an area of only 100 square meters, was sold for nearly 19 million yuan. But at this time, another person squeezed out from the crowd. He naturally knew that if what Yang Lin said was true, then this shop would definitely become the king of shops on this street in the future.